This isn't just politics, this is the collapse of dignity. On American soil, he knelt for a war criminal and rolled out his welcome mat. But elsewhere, in that same America, the free world stood tall against tyranny. In this video, two summits, two narratives, one reveals shame, and the other the soul of what remains. I'm Slavie, this is Ukraine Update on channel Eurochenko, where we cut through the propaganda, wreck Russian narratives, and stand for the truth. If you care about Ukraine, freedom, and the future of democracy, make sure to subscribe, like the video, and drop a comment so the truth reaches more people. Let's get into it. Visuals of infamy. At Elmdorf-Richardson Air Base, Anchorage, Alaska, U.S. soldiers knelt to roll out a red carpet for Vladimir Putin. What should have been a moment of American strength became a spectacle of shame. America bowing before a war criminal terrorist. Think about that image. American military kneeling, not for their commander-in-chief, not for their flag, but for a dictator. America's sworn enemy, Russia. Do you think that will ever be forgotten? Or will it live like Pearl Harbor's Day of Infamy as an image of shame? The platform read Alaska 2025. The background of the summit read Pursuing Peace. Flanked by F-22s and even B-2 bomber overhead, it wasn't a show of strength, it was pageantry for a warlord. Putin arrived not as an indicted criminal, but as an honored guest. Red carpet, military salutes, and even ride in the beast, the America's president's limousine. Tell me, does that look like justice, or does it look like a coronation? Lavrov strutted in, wearing a USSR sweatshirt, smirking. Reporters were served chicken Kiev on their flights over, as if death raining on Ukrainians was some cheap punchline. But the true humiliation came on stage. Putin didn't just show up, he dominated the summit. He spoke first. On American soil, the war criminal was given the microphone before the President of the United States. And what did he say? That the root cause of the war must be eliminated. In Kremlin language, that means one thing: Ukraine's existence. On American soil, in front of the world, Putin justified genocide. He dressed it up as talk of brotherly nations and security concerns, but stripped off the spin, it was clear. What he really said was Ukrainians must die so Russia can continue with its imperial ambitions. And how did America respond? By letting him speak first, nodding along and calling the summit productive. Trump got nothing. No ceasefire, no sanctions relief, no guarantees. Every promise he made going in was broken. He bent the knee. Putin, on the other hand, walked away with everything he came for. The red carpet, the optics of legitimacy, a stage to justify genocide. Even the power to meddle in US democracy. Oh yeah, lecturing Americans that the 2020 election was rigged because of mail-in ballots. A Russian dictator was dictating American policy to Americans, and Trump is his puppet who is now changing this policy and getting rid of mail-in ballots so Russia could meddle in more elections. Ask yourself, who dictated terms in Alaska? Who left stronger and who left weaker? And just before the Washington summit even began, Moscow's propaganda machine went into overdrive. A video circulated of a captured American tank stolen from Ukrainians. On its armor, they draped two flags, Russian and American. The message was grotesque, a staged illusion of partnership. But let's be honest, Russians do not see America as their brotherly nation. They envy America. They despise America, and no matter how many smiles are flashed between Trump and Putin, that hatred will never vanish. It is baked into the Kremlin's worldview. It's the envy of mafia states that resents freedom. The image wasn't really meant for Americans. It was meant to demoralize Ukrainians, to whisper your strongest ally has abandoned you. That is how Russian propaganda works, twisting optics and planting despair. And yet, it also exposes the truth, because if Putin truly believed America was his ally, he wouldn't need to stage it on a stolen tank. He would show it in reality, but he can't, so he fakes it. Then came Putin's proposal, freezing the front lines if Ukraine concedes Donetsk and Luhansk. Not peace, capitulation, dressed as compromise. Trump declared the summit productive, but there was no ceasefire, no sanctions relief, nothing real. And of course, Ukraine wasn't there, so nothing could have been done except it legitimized Putin. On the world stage, he's back from isolation. Alaska projected weakness. America bent over backwards for a dictator with blood on his hands. Putin's rejection in Alaska changed everything. The Russian leader could have taken Trump's concessions, declared victory, and called it a day. But he said no, and kept fighting. Surprised? No. That single rejection forced a shift, and now Trump is learning what Ukraine already knew. Putin only respects strength. At the Washington summit, this scene looked different. Zelenskyy didn't walk in alone. This time he was flanked by Europe's heavyweights: Macron, Starmer, Merz, Meloni, Stubb, von der Leyen, and NATO's Mark Rutte. Together, they came not with words of appeasement, but with a framework. 30 countries now preparing to offer Ukraine Article 5 level guarantees. Not NATO membership, but the same protection in different packaging. For Ukraine, that strips Putin of his favorite talking point. For Trump, it avoids his red line. The signs are subtle but telling. Weapons still flow to Ukraine, though Ukraine now pays directly. Sanctions stay in place. Trump says no business deals with Russia until war ends. And the coalition keeps widening, with Japan, Australia, and New Zealand joining Europe in these guarantees. Ukraine learned too. In February, Zelenskyy walked into the Oval Office and was ambushed, scolded, humiliated, cornered, and this time he came prepared. He opened with gratitude. 9 thank yous to Trump. 9. He brought maps, not war photos this time. He laid out specific plans instead of emotional appeals. His message: Ukraine is a democracy. No president can trade away land the people refuse to surrender. Trump, by contrast, pulled out his own shaded map, suggesting lines for negotiation. Zelenskyy listened, but for him, those lines aren't abstract borders. They're graves, they're deported children, they're destroyed cities. And polls show Ukrainians will never accept ceding them. Lost way too much. Europe made its voice clear. Macron said security for Ukraine is security for Europe. Merz said asking Ukraine to cede Donbass is like asking America to give up Florida. Von der Leyen said every abducted Ukrainian child must be returned.
Every single child has to go back to its family. This should be one of our main priorities also in these negotiations, to make sure that the children come back to Ukraine to their families.
Thank you. And we did. I was just thinking we're here for a different reason, but we just a couple of weeks ago made the largest trade deal in history. So that's a big thing, and congratulations. That's great. Thank you very much, Ursula. Mr. Chancellor from Germany, a very great leader.
At the end, Zelenskyy called it the best meeting yet. He confirmed the US will be a participant in Ukraine's security guarantees.
We had very good conversation with President Trump.
Very good.
And it really was the best one. Maybe the best one will be in the future. But it was really good. And we spoke about very sensitive points. The first one is security guarantees, and we are very happy with President that all the leaders are here, and the security in Ukraine depends on the United States and on you and on those leaders who are with us in our hearts. They have been online before yesterday and etc. So a lot of countries on the side of Ukraine, our people and all of us want to finish this war, stop Russia and stop this war. We spoke about it, and we will speak more about security guarantees. This is very important that the United States gives such strong signal and is ready for security guarantees. The second point, or maybe the first, the humanitarian direction, very important to exchange all the prisoners, and I think that President will help, and I was very thankful to your wife again, Mr. President, for the letter about our abducted children, and I hope that really it can be a historic role for the people to bring kids.
Details will be finalized within 10 days. Territories will only be discussed directly with Putin, not decided over Ukraine's head, and Ukraine offered the US an weapons deal, drones, with allies ready to contribute based on capacity. So let's compare. Alaska was a humiliation. Trump bent. Putin dictated an American yield. Washington was correction. Ukraine adapted, Europe stood firm, and Putin lost ground. But here's the warning. Trump cannot be trusted. Security guarantees must not become another Budapest Memorandum, empty promises written in Ukrainian blood. Putin's Alaska gamble backfired. He wanted an easy win through Trump's charm. Instead, he may have triggered the coalition he fears most. Ukraine, once disarmed from Soviet ICBMs, bombers, and cruise missiles, today it's restoring its power. The new Flamingo cruise missile. Is it just another weapon? It's a statement. After the USSR fell, Ukraine returned 1,700 nuclear warheads, ICBMs, bombers, and cruise missiles to Russia by 2001 in exchange for vague guarantees. Fast forward to 2025. Ukraine's Firepoint firm has unveiled Flamingo, an indigenous ground-launched cruise missile with a 3,000-kilometer range. It's tested, launched, and already in serial production at secure facilities. This changes the game. For the first time, Ukraine gets strike deep inside Russian territory. Moscow, strategic factories, command centers on its own terms. Inspired by the British FP5 missile design, has 6-meter wingspan, turbofan engine, and electronic resistance. Maximum flight time is 4 hours at speeds up to 900 kilometers an hour. So why does this matter? Russia's air defenses, S-300s, S-400s, Pantsir are built to handle a handful of missiles. Flamingo is meant to overwhelm, not evade. No stealth, no subtlety. Flamingo attacks with numbers. It breaks through, or at least wears down the system. Look at what Ukraine has done. Once stripped of its strategic force, it now rebuilds one. Not with Western dependency, but with its own ingenuity amid war. Ukraine's missiles industry isn't new. It's built anti-ship systems like Neptune, now upgraded to 1,000-kilometer range, and has long worked on the Krim 2 ballistic missile. But Flamingo is the first long-range, domestically produced weapon of this magnitude. Dictatorships cling to old power. Democracies innovate under fire. If Ukraine can build Flamingo in war, what excuse does the free world have for hesitating on arming them? Another strike, another crack in Russia's war machine. Ukraine's drones just hit the Druzhba oil pipeline, one of the Kremlin's main cash arteries. This southern branch, which delivers crude to Hungary and Slovakia, has been forced offline. Every single day it stays down, Moscow bleeds tens of millions in lost revenue, money that will never reach Putin's bombs, missiles, and war machine. This is economic warfare. This is real sanctioning. Ukraine proving that it can not only defend its cities, but also cut into Russia's empire at the source. Because this is the only way to defeat Russia and get true and just lasting peace. But here's the bigger truth. This strike is a test for Europe. Ukraine is doing its part. The question is, will Europe stop hesitating and finally tighten sanctions to finish the job and crush Russia? It's the only way to defeat Russia. Russia must fall. It's the only way. Putin doesn't negotiate. He delays. He deceives. Every so-called pause is just time to reload missiles, abduct more children, attack more civilians, and erase more lives. Alaska was theater of surrender. Washington was a warning shot. Because appeasement doesn't end wars. Never have. It breeds them. It doesn't save lives. It costs them. History has already burned 2 images into memory. US soldiers kneeling to roll out a red carpet for Putin, and Zelenskyy standing tall with Europe at his side. One is a shame, the other is strength. Which one will define us? Ukraine is showing the world what it means to fight for democracy, but here's the truth. If we don't fight with them, one day, we will wake up living like Russians, silenced, enslaved, ruled by fear. So if you believe in democracy is worth fighting for, stand with us. Like this video, subscribe to channel Yarchenko, leave a comment, and help truth break through the algorithm. And if you can, help me keep producing these videos. There's a Buy Me Coffee link in the show notes below. Every contribution fuels this fight, and thank you to all who have contributed to the channel. The future's on the line, democracy or dictatorships. God bless America, and Slava Ukraini.